Hi everyone, welcome back to PommyInOz. I hope you're all doing really well. If you are new around here, please drop a like and a subscribe. We're well on our way to 400 subscribers. The love and support you've shown has meant so much to me. So if you could share it on your socials, smash that like button, give it a share, that would be superb. And we're talking about a game which really seems really weird saying. It's quite an exciting fixture, this one on paper. Carlton versus Gold Coast. Finals on the line for both sides. Really a loss here would put pay to the finals talk. But both sides have been a real surprise package this year. Really putting to bed a lot of years of hurt. And both playing probably one of the most exciting brands of football in the AFL at the moment, which is really exciting to talk about. Both sides have a host of young players and a real good firm core in the game, and are playing a brand of footy that is easy on the eye, and also new coaches together, which is even more exciting because both of these have been in the job for a short time and really built their brand of football and changed things around at the club. So let's get into it. So if we look at the head-to-head fixtures between them, it's in the recent games, in the last 10, it's Carlton have won 6 of them, where Gold Coast have won 4 of them. Now, obviously, we've had some real good battles in the last couple of years. Carlton won towards the back end of last year under Teague really comfortably. And then we had that disappointing defeat at the start of the year to Gold Coast, where it was probably the weirdest game I can remember of Carlton. It's probably, I hate to say it, the most Carlton game I've ever seen. We dominated in the middle. We had a lot of the ball. We were probably the better side for 9/10 of that game. But a moment of brilliance, we came unstuck, and unfortunately we didn't get the chocolates. And it kind of summed up Carlton, even to an extent now, where we can dominate a game in the contested area, in the midfield, and not quite get the job done and be wasteful. And that's kind of like probably the benchmark of where Carlton are with our worst. It's where we can be really impactful, really control a game, but can't put it away. And it's something that Gold Coast have done really well of this year, that when they have been on top, they've punished and hurt sides and stayed on top. And if you look at last time out against Freo, Carlton, obviously, as we know, whether you're a salty Freo fan or you're not, Carlton got the job done in the end and were probably the better team for a large part of that game. Just couldn't quite get it. And it was a moment of excellence that did. Whereas on the other hand, Gold Coast played the mighty Tigers, and they impressed. They really did put it to the fore. They really do bring it. And that is one thing that when you watch both of these sides, very similar, very heavy in the kicks, very heavy in the direct, aggressive playing game style. And it is a very awkward team, very awkward style to match up on, because both sides go hell for leather. And we saw Richmond really did struggle with Gold Coast, and we've seen Carlton against Port, against West Coast. They have really made them struggle and dig deep to beat us. On paper, this should be a really seesawy game, and I'm super excited. If we look at key performers and we go through a bit of the stats for it, you look at Carlton and you look at a few players that I've picked out from both sides. You've got Doherty here, averaging 20.1 disposals and 5.6 marks. This guy is killing it at the moment, and although he's been quiet the last couple of weeks and he's come under a bit of critique I've seen, there's no getting away from. This guy is an absolute game changer. Another player that I really want to focus on is Ed Kerner. This guy statistically has one of his best games versus Gold Coast, and he's going to be really influential in this one. And we'll talk about him a bit later in the video of where I think he'll go. But this guy is a clearance specialist at the moment, really getting that midfield going. Had a real good game against Freo, was arguably best on ground. It's going to be a really exciting factor. He's having a good season as well and really enjoying this kick-heavy game. 12.6 kicks, 19 touches a game. He's really, really getting them chains moving. Kind of playing a really selfless role, a la like a Trent Cotchin for Carlton at the moment, where he's probably not getting the kudos he deserves, but he is super important to the way we set up. Paddy Cripps, he needs no introduction. 22 touches this year on average. And he's really killing the clearance. Again, top of the charts of contested possessions. This guy is a beast. And this is going to be someone that we're going to be looking to have a big game, to really put Gold Coast to the sword. We know Gold Coast are coming off a 4-day break. They have done the rest in David Swallow to try and get that whole engine room going. But Cripper, we're going to be looking at him. Well rested, was quite influential against Freo. It's going to be intriguing to see. And for me as well, he's due a goal, isn't he? And I can see him slotting a bit forward in this game and really looking to cause that backline problems. Sammy Walsh is another player for Carlton. He was really, in the last couple of weeks, really come to the fore, really hit the ground running, starting to add snags to his game, which was probably the one critique last year when people were talking about Rosie. Is he better? This guy is now hitting the scoreboard, really impactful and really finding a way. For me, I thought in the fourth quarter against Freo was one of our most composed players with the ball in hand. And again, another guy that really benefits this kick-heavy game. He has 11 kicks to his 7 handballs, 18.4 touches. Mark Murphy, another guy that's come under a lot of criticism, but one of our key stat getters. If we look at stats, he is one of the guys that it always rates highly there. And for me, when we talk about tackles and stuff, this guy hasn't done this for a decade. So why are you asking a 30-plus guy to suddenly add that to his game? It doesn't happen. Old dogs don't learn new tricks. There is a few exceptions to the rule. We know Eddie Betts has added tackles and forward pressure where that kind of fell off at Adelaide. But this guy does what he does, and for me, he will have an important role to play with Gold Coast. You see the way that he gets the ball on the wing and looks to penetrate inside 50 with his kicks. This guy's going to be really integral because the way Gold Coast work is they flood the back line. They're very, very defensive set with Stewie Dew, that when they turn the ball over, they get men back, and they get men back very quickly, and they look to counterpunch from that inside 50 turnover. And for me, he's going to be very important because he's going to need to hit targets, because if he doesn't, they hit us back, and Lukosius is flying at the moment. If we look at key players for Gold Coast, Ellis could have been a Carlton player. We know that I was a big fan of Ellis and someone that I think you need in a side. And anyone who watches Gold Coast this year will see how he influences. He's a winner. He's been there. He's done it. 18.4 touches. Again, a guy that suits a kick-heavy game style. And he's going to be a guy that's really going to get the ball moving. He gets that transition going for them. Looks to take the attack on. That fourth quarter against Richmond, I thought he was absolutely exemplary and could have ended up winning the game for them had it been another day. His influence can't be understated. He will have a say at some point in this game, and he's going to be someone that you've got to make sure you put a lot of pressure on. Tuck Miller, we talked about him in Analytics Corner on Blue Abroad. I'm a big fan of Tuck. He's added a bit of tag into his game. He can do it all. He kind of plays a really selfish type of Ed Kerno role for them. Doesn't really get the kudos and the credits he probably deserves. 20.1 touches, and he's really even spread. Handballs and kicks. He looks to really transition that midfield, looks to give it to good users, can take the game on himself. Real good injection of pace. It'd be interesting to see what Tuck Miller does, because watching against Richmond, he spent a bit of time tagging and then a bit of time on the ball himself. It's going to be a really key little battle there, whoever has him. Jackie Bowes, another player that kind of goes under the radar. Real tough, very efficient, very sensible footballer, does the smart thing, 17.2 touches. He'll be one that Carlton will be looking to curb, because if he gets his hands on the ball, he uses it well. He finds someone to hurt you, and he can hurt you yourself. Jackie Lukosius, a guy we featured on Analytics Corner again. This guy is a transition machine, playing that sweeper role from soccer, looking to mop up any mistakes. Real efficient on his kick-ins as well. Hits targets by foot. This guy is an elite user. If you get him on the right, on his perfect kicking leg, game over. He'll hit that target. And he's going to be someone that Carlton will be looking with this wonderful forward pressure we bring to really stop that, to negate his influence. It's going to be the battle, I think, in the backline between Doc and him. Who can influence the game more? Who can set that transition up, set that score launch up? These guys are very efficient at using the ball well in defensive 50, and suddenly it becomes an inside 50 in 3 or 4 moves. David Swallow, he needs no introduction, their captain, 18 touches. This guy is a beast, and he's going to be someone else that will really need to be negated. Once he starts to have the say, things change round. These are going to be really 5 players versus each other that are going to be really exciting. The engine rooms versus the engine rooms. It's going to be really exciting. And when we talk about the engine rooms, Carlton's Eddie Kerno, 88% of centre bounces contested, Cripper 86, up against Hugh Greenwood 75, Tuck Miller 67 and Swallow 61. It's going to be a really interesting battle because Hugh Greenwood, for me, is going to be someone that Ed Kerner will be looking towards. This guy is an absolute ox, and he has really had kind of an Indian summer now. He's had this change up to Gold Coast. He is absolutely killing it. And it's going to be interesting seeing Cripper versus him. First in clearances, Cripper. Fourth in contested versus third and fifth, respectively, for Hugh Greenwood. These guys are really their big boys. They're guys that look to impact the contest, to pull you out of the way, to muscle the way in. It's going to be a really wonderful battle. And for me, if I was picking the team, I would be having Ed trying to stop Tuck doing what Tuck does and just playing Cripper and Hugh one-on-one, mano-a-mano. It should be really exciting, this battle. Another battle that I'm looking forward to is Benny King versus Jacob Wheaterin. Two young bucks in key positions, making names for themselves. You've got the wonderful aerial craft of Ben King versus the wonderful one-on-one ability of Wheaterin. On paper, this is two heavyweights going toe-to-toe. This is your Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Centre of the ring going toe-to-toe. And we're going to have a really exciting matchup here. Both sides, when we look at it, are almost inseparable in key stats. All the stats suggest disposals, there's 10 between them. You've got the kick-to-handball ratio. You've got marks inside 50 and clearances are almost identical. Efficiency, bang on inside 50, 33.9. It's going to really come down to which midfield uses the ball well. It's going to come down to which of them guys in the engine room, your Murphys, your Swallows, which guys start hitting targets the most. It's a really exciting game on paper. For me, I'm backing Carlton in here. I think that 4-day break is going to be super integral to who wins this game. And I think even though Geelong booked the trend last week, I just think Gold Coast, have they got the legs? And that is my question. Have they got the legs to do this? It's going to be a really fantastic battle. I'm leaning towards Carlton. I'm going to say Carlton by 20. I think they'll get on top. I think that forward line of McKay, I think Betts, his history against Gold Coast plays in. And I think if Jackie Martin comes in for me, that is going to be a huge one because statistically this year, 18% increase in output versus your former side. It's going to be a wonderful battle. Please, guys, in the comments, guys and girls, let me know, where's Ed going for you? Who would you put Ed on? Is it Tuck Miller? Is it Hugh Greenwood? Or is it someone else? What about the battle of Wheaterin versus King? I think Wheaterin's just got enough body to worry King and worry him out of the game. Let me guys know in the comments who you would have on the matchups. What matchups are you looking forward to? I mean, it could be Rankin versus Plowman, the young buck versus the forgotten star. For me, Plowman gets a lot of kudos. It could be a ripping game though Friday night to kick off the Doug Nicholls round. I can't wait. Let me know who you've got. Don't see you for the week, see you through the window. Pom out.